So I recently got the Syntakt from Elektron in the studio, and a huge shout out to Perfect Circuit for sending that over. As soon as I got it though, I realized how much it made me want a Digitakt, which I talked about in my last video. I'm trying to be, smart with gear, use what I have, and save money and be careful and all that. So instead of just immediately running out and also trying to get a Digitakt, I decided to pair it with the Polyend tracker, because the tracker is in a lot of ways very similar to the Digitakt, although it does have, key differences. It does have 8 tracks of monophonic sample playback. It has a sample slicer, which the Digitakt now has. It has a great delay and reverb effect, which the Digitakt has. And so there's a lot of crossover here. Things it does feel like it's missing are, the easy kind of pattern chaining, matching stuff. I'm still pretty much a newbie to this Syntakt. I know a lot more than I did last week, but there's still plenty to learn. And a huge shout out to Perfect Circuit for sending over the Syntakt in exchange for video ads like this one. Perfect Circuit sells modular gear, synthesizers, pedals, and effects, and pro audio and recording gear worldwide. So you can order from anywhere and they'll ship it to you. They also make a lot of original content with their own YouTube channel, and they're a great place to get inspiration for electronic gear, or just information, or just to geek out. They also have a blog they wanted me to shout out called Signal, and they post news and updates there. So I'm not making hyper complex compositions yet, but my understanding is it is a lot easier to pair a Digitakt and a Syntakt together and kind of have them like go through song mode or pattern chains together. Right now I'm kind of manually changing patterns and all that when I'm using the tracker with the Syntakt. But when I treat the Polyend tracker as kind of a sample brother to the Syntakt and let the Syntakt be in charge, have the tracker have transport, receive, and then just kind of do the rest of the stuff manually, it's a good way to get some sample based stuff going on along with the synth based stuff of the Syntakt. I've also paired the MiniFreak here, which again, thank you to Perfect Circuit for sending over at a small discount a while ago, because I wanted to have a polysynth to go along with the Syntakt and the tracker. The Syntakt is awesome. It has 12 different voices that can all play at once, and they can all be different machines. It's great, but you can't really play chords. Although ironically, the the patch I ended up choosing for this composition, I don't really play a lot of chords, but still like the option, still like having the key bed. So the way this is set up, the Syntakt is kind of the brains. It's got transport control. It's sending over the tracker over MIDI. And then the audio is going out of the MiniFreak into the tracker, and the tracker's input is stereo, even though it's a mono sampler. The input's stereo. Audio is going out of tracker into Syntakt. So this is all the way from MiniFreak to tracker to Syntakt. Everything from trackers also into Syntakt. So I can just route the single headphones out into my audio recorder here, and I'm getting all of these devices, which is great. As far as MIDI goes, no MIDI connection right now. I could connect MIDI. I could connect this to something else, but I'm not. Just playing it. And then there is MIDI going out of the Syntakt into the tracker, but it's only really doing transport. All of the programming is done in patterns here on the tracker itself. And to do that, I basically set it into live record ready, and then I would hit play on here, and it would let me record into the tracker. And so yeah, this is a really interesting way to compose. I'm going to show you what I made. Overall, I think this is a really neat setup. I do still really want a Digitakt. I do think that a lot of what I like about this would be cooler with the Digitakt. They would both fit on this stand. They would talk to each other a little bit better. And the more I learn about the Elektron workflow and the Elektron sequencer, the more I really want to apply some of that knowledge to a sample-based device. There are some limitations of the Digitakt that the tracker doesn't have. It does seem like the Digitakt has a really small main storage drive and only 64 megabytes of sample RAM at any given time. But people have made tons of amazing music and amazing stuff with it. YouTubers like Slow Haste, shout out to Slow Haste, and plenty others are using the Digitakt exceptionally well. And so yeah, I am really tempted to find a way to get a Digitakt in the studio. But in the meantime, this is a really cool setup. And if you have similar gear, hopefully this is interesting for you. I hope you enjoy this jam, this little track I've been working on. Definitely a work in progress, but I think it's pretty fun. And there is something else that I did want to say, which is just that I think I understand when people talk about the difference between something like the Machine Plus or the MPC-1 versus the Elektron gear or the tracker or the MiniFreak as Dawless gear. I do understand how the MPCs and the Machine can feel a lot more like a DAW than this does. Just making this track yesterday and playing around with all this, it does feel more like I'm working with instruments than it does like a computer in a box. And so I'm starting to understand what people are talking about and how there are kind of different levels of Dawless. Let me know if there's any gear you'd like me to pair or any tips you have for using these devices together. Please consider liking and subscribing to support the channel. Thank you to everyone who's already done that, and especially my Patreon patrons. All right, let's play this jam. So that's the jam. And yeah, you know, it was a fun process to put together. It's a pretty simple project overall. If we go out of mute modes, we've got this bass kick here, got Go to pattern 2. We have this base for the second pattern, and this base for the first pattern. This little carbon pling, this hi-hat, and I think we have some additional percussive elements. Yeah, this little clap here, pattern 2. And then over on the tracker, we have a few different instruments. And if we go to this piano, we've chopped it up. If we go to playback. And this is actually one of the more simple uses of a splice sample that I've done. I didn't change the pitch. I didn't really do too much. I just chopped it. And this is pattern 1 with that. Same root sample, different chops. And I added that little hi-hat. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty simple little jam, but it was a lot of fun to make, and putting these elements together, one kind of satisfied my Digitakt GAS, but also really makes me just want to Digitakt even more. That's not to take away from how cool the tracker is, though. Like I've said recently, I really love this thing. I was definitely underrating it, but there is something about the idea of having the Digitakt and the Syntakt together. It's extremely appealing, so we'll see what the future holds for the channel. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have an awesome week ahead. Thank you again to Perfect Circuit. If you're interested in any of this gear, I do have links below. Using those helps the channel. Gives me a small percentage back at no additional cost to you. Awesome. All right. Bye.